and the sun rises over the east side of the Atlantic, the North Pole of Planet X, which is pointed at the equator, starts pulling on this iron bar, which is almost like a handle, and it pulls it down. So it pulls Iceland down towards the south. So the Earth is wobbling. And then as the sun sets over the Atlantic, it releases it because they're no longer lined up. The North Pole of Planet X pointing at the Earth like a flashlight and the iron bar, they're no longer lined up. So as now the Earth has been pulled over the North Pole moving towards the sun, and as the Earth turns to the east a little bit more, it's released and the North Pole bounces back. And that's what's causing all these airplane problems and the ferry sinking off of Korea, which I can explain in detail. But the thing is this is going to gradually get worse and worse and worse. And as it gets closer, which it's not going to hit the Earth, the closest it will get is 14 million miles. And in its slow approach, it's actually going to pull the Earth closer to it. So Planet X is going to stand up. So its North Pole matches the North Pole of the Sun and all the other planets pointing up. And when it does that, it's going to draw the Earth closer to it. And as it does that, the pull on the mid-Atlantic ridge is going to become stronger and stronger. So there's going to be a period of about 3 weeks where the rotation of the Earth slows. But get this, nothing changes the core. So the core is going to be rotating just as it always did, and its North Pole is always going to be pointing up like it always did. But the crust of the Earth is granite, and it floats on the magma. So as the mid-Atlantic ridge gets more and more attracted by the magnetic field of Planet X, the crust is going to make very strange noises, which in the Book of Revelation and in the Quran are described as trumpets. And you can listen to these eerie sounds on YouTube. You can Tampa, Florida, Kiev, Ukraine, all kinds of places. There's all kinds of them, eerie earth sounds. And these sounds are going to become really loud, and all the fingers of granite that attach to the core are going to break off and slip, and the crust is going to stop turning. Now, the core will still be turning. The North Pole will still be pointed up. And then as pole shift occurs, the Planet X is going to go on its side again, and it's just slightly below the ecliptic, and it's going to go across the sun going up, and it's going to pull the crust of the Earth with it, the mid-Atlantic ridge, and it's going to slide now imagine, this is a good analogy, imagine you have an orange that has tissue paper wrapped around it that can slide over the orange. And imagine you put a pencil in the orange, and that's the North and South poles. So Planet X is going to grab the crust and slide it over the existing North Pole until finally it leaves. And when it leaves, the part of the crust that will be over the North Pole will be Recife, Brazil, the eastern tip. And that's the new North Pole. And that's what's going to happen in pole shift. Then after it passes, and that will only take an hour from the moment, and then the rotation of the Earth will start again. And then there'll be the rocks and gravel in the tail of Planet X will pelt the Earth for up to 3 days. And that will be a fall of rocks that will put holes in the roofs of most buildings, and people will have to go underground, not deep underground, but maybe you could make a trench and put some logs across it and put some dirt on top of it. That won't help you if it's a boulder that hits you, but certainly will help for some gravel. And then it's over, and that's it, not for another 3,657 years. So wow. How long has this been going on? Maybe 2 billion years.
You're saying this is only going to take an hour? What about the 30 days?
The actual pole shift. The 3 days of darkness is for people in the Pacific, like people who live in Maui, Hawaii. Because when Planet X grabs the Atlantic Rift, I don't know who's calling me, and I don't know how to stop them, so I apologize. So as the Great Atlantic Rift, as the crust stops turning with the core, and instead is being grabbed magnetically by Planet X, there'll be this 3 days of darkness, except that if you're on the Atlantic Ocean, it'll be 3 days of sunlight. But in the Pacific and Asia, it will be 3 days of darkness. So that's the prophecy in the Bible. And that makes sense because you figure the Earth is round, it's turning. Why would the whole Earth have 3 days of darkness? The sun's not going to disappear. It's still going to be there, lighting half the Earth. So that's the solution of that. But this whole process From the moment when you look up at the sun and you see a separate cloudy red body that a lot of people call a dwarf star, but it's not. It's an atmospheric, oceanic, volcanic, inhabited planet, Planet X. When you can see that separate from the sun without hurting your eyes, without burning out your retina, but there it is, separate from the sun. When everybody looks up and sees that, it's going to be about 49 days until pole shift.
Okay, so
Wow, if you don't know to swim, you better sing to him.
okay,
Well,
so when is this going to happen?
Well, that's the question. That's the million-dollar question everyone wants to know. And it says in all the scriptures and everywhere that no man knows the hour or the day, and really you don't. And this is why, is because I'm mentioning a lot of things that I'm sure you'd like to ask me more about. And one of them is that I was thinking about all the saucers I'd seen around in 1978 to 1980, and I was thinking, what really explains this? And I realized gravity pushes, it doesn't pull. Now, I know some people say it's polar, and maybe there is a push and a pull with gravity, sort of like magnetism, but really, in order to understand the universe, you have to understand that gravity does not pull, it pushes. And this is a lie that we've been living with for 400 years. I mean, when's the last time you heard a meeting of scientists saying we've got to do something about this terrible problem of planets hitting each other and stars colliding and galaxies destroying, And I realized that probably around in the 1980s. And then in 1988, there used to be this magazine called Omni, and the foremost gravity researcher in the world, Dr. Ephraim Fishbach, and I called him up and I talked to him for, 3, 4, 5 hours. I think it was like an $800 phone call back in those days.
Wow.
And I said, is there any proof that gravity pushes? And he goes, there has never been any proof that gravity pushes or pulls. And he goes, if you could design an experiment, Gordon, which would determine whether gravity pushes or pulls, you would be the single most famous scientist that anyone knows of. And how do you do that? So, and you don't need to know whether it pushes or pulls to send a rocket to Mars, for instance. All you need to know is with the strength of the gravity. So that's what's going on, is that the planets are not going to collide, and the push. So this explains what happened. See, the planets, if you're in space above the solar system, the planets go counterclockwise around the sun. And in comes Planet X from the Orion galaxy, from that direction. And it comes in, and it enters the inner solar system, and it comes around the sun going clockwise. So now you've got this big body, 29,000 miles in diameter, going clockwise in the orbit in between Venus and the Earth. So it's pushing, and Venus and the Earth are trying to go counterclockwise, and they're being pushed back by Planet X. So then, and you got to love this because NASA knows all the stuff they never tell anybody, and that is that there's another planet on the other side of the sun called the dark twin of the Earth, and that does not have an atmosphere. It's a dark cinder. It reflects a little blue or sometimes gold light, and it's the same size as. Now you got to realize the dark twin of Earth, Venus and the Earth are all roughly 7,500 miles in diameter. So you've got these three planets, all roughly the same size. So when the Earth and Venus stopped going forward, the dark twin came around and caught up with it. And you can go to the German Antarctic website and look at their webcam, what they've got pointed at their facility there. And you can see, oh yeah, there's the sun rising and setting. Oh yeah, there's the quarter moon rising and setting. Oh my God, what is that? And that's the dark twin of Earth. And you can see it. I mean, there's so many pictures. You can go to Zeta.com and look at these pictures. So there's 3 planets now.
Dark twin around the same distance from the sun as the Earth. That's why it's.
Yeah, exactly. It's in our orbit. It's the same.
So then our orbit keeps it about.
It's balanced on the other side of the sun, which is why nobody from Earth has ever seen it. But as soon as you go up, if you go up in space, like NASA has been doing since 1957 or whatever, then as soon as you're away from the Earth, you can see it on the other side of the sun. Do you think NASA's ever mentioned it? But yet there are pictures of it all the time on the German Antarctic Station webcam.
Is the Earth the only one that has a twin? On the other side of the...
In our solar system, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is now, if you've ever had a dog, and my mother used to raise them, which is one reason why I like cats, not dogs now, I said, if I ever step dog again, somebody's going to die. So I didn't want to have a dog. But if you've ever tried to corner a dog, let's say you have an L-shaped wall, you have your garage attached to your house, and the dog's in the corner, and you want to put a leash on him, but he doesn't. So the dog darts to the left, you dart to the left. Then the dog darts to the right, then you dart to the right. Well, that's what's going on with these four planets, the dark twin, Venus, and the Earth. It's like as if Planet X is a cup, like a champagne glass, and in the funnel of the glass are these three planets, and they can't get by each other. And that's been going on since December 2003, and when it will stop, nobody knows.
Wow. Well, we're going to be going on a break in just about right now. Okay.
Here we go.
So, that's that. Hi, this is Janet. This is see
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Hey folks, Captain Nighthawk here. Do you have a favorite host? Well, imagine if you all having all the broadcast shows from 2013 to listen to anytime you want. Awesome deal. Anyway, so stop by freedomslips.com and order the entire 2013 library of your favorite host for just $30. Not only do you help with the station funding to keep us on the air, you also help the host because they get half of the net on every order. Also, we have Revolution Radio's all-time favorite shows all on one disc. The details are really broad, so you'll have to visit the website and go look at the details yourself. It's, again, www.freedomslips.com/season2013.htm. And get your favorites. First come, first served, 7 to 21 days for delivery. Thank you. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps. Including me. Danger.
We've got to stop them! They're going to kill us all!
Tune in Tuesdays at 12 noon Eastern on Studio A to hear Tammy Adams share her knowledge of an unknown realm on Talking.
Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello, hi everyone, and welcome back to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio at freedomsips.com with your host Janet Kerr Lesson and Dr. Sasha Lesson. And before we go back to our show, which is very fascinating, just want to remind you that Revolution Radio is listener supported. So please do journey over to that donate button on the website right now and donate what you can, $1, $5, $10, $15, $20, $100, whatever you